So I'm thinking I have no volume right now. I don't know why. That's not the way, oh, where'd it go? Let's see.
Oh, Lord.
Samsung, what kind of TV is that? Samsung. Let's try that. Somebody at that end say something.
Oh, hi.
There we go. Okay, and we're being recorded and we're ready to go.
All right, like to call the meeting to order. And
6:37.
Maureen, you would mind doing the roll call?
Sure. Brandon Pete,
Present.
Tom Heisler, Guy Hoffman,
Present.
Carl Lewis. Seems to be absent or,
He's gonna join us late remotely.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Thank you for that. Karen Pagliaro,
Present.
Mary Catherine LaRose, Rob Ramsey,
Present.
and Jason Pelletier. This seems to be absent.
All right. And we'll move on to the next order of business, which is audience of citizen. I'd just like to say thank you we got a little bit of a late start, but it was kind of celebrating our former chairman who's been on this commission for just shy of 30 years. For well over 20 of it, so. So we gathered a little bit early in it and to try to, be able to tell him about, thanking him for all of it. So who do we have in the audience of citizens? Mhm.
So I have those down under commission business for the use of town's lands. I
Yeah,
put
and-
them down there, so we can move them if you want, or whichever.
Yeah, let's see, and then
Joe Rio.
concerning,
Easement
oh, okay,
on the property.
He's the nature's edge.
all right, the other ones on the agenda, maybe we should start with Gerald. And then,
Yeah, either way, I put him on mine as third, but it's fine. No other commission does it anymore. Our commissions have, the planning commissions are the last to fade it out. I think it's pretty much a normal course of business now, where for 5 years or 3 years it was, how do Zoom meetings work?
all
I think maybe the Ragged Mountain Preserve first
Yeah.
for her, because
Okay.
she's, was scheduled on and
yeah,
everything.
let's take care of that.
It's the big year, right? Yeah. People in the front, but also in the back, showing behind to make sure there's litter and footsteps even. Go right through the trail, we don't make it any wider, and it's gonna be on May 15th. Another due respect of all of your plans. It's gonna be on May 15th, and we've contacted Andy from the fire department. They said 17th, I'm sorry, we said. It is the 17th. Yeah, it's multi-day. It will go into the 18th. So it's gonna be Saturday, Sunday, hopefully not Monday, but possibly. Yeah. And we've contacted Andy, we'll be in touch with police department personnel as well. We haven't had any issues in the past, so them to keep going. Yeah, no. You've done a great job.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know of any issues that we've run into or anything, so it's been I think a success all the way along year end and certainly, you know, now too. Um,
So, okay, may I ask a question?
Hmm?
May I ask a question?
yes, yeah, we're open.
Does someone on your race, is that one of the ones that someone usually walks the trail before and after with you
Yeah.
guys?
Yep.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's usually Carl, I think.
Yeah, yes, Carl goes with us. He also tells us where his vehicle's gonna be stationed, where the keys are, even though we don't touch the keys, just in case he has a different guy come out. If there's
Uh-huh,
an emergency.
okay.
But yeah, we're touching.
Okay, so I don't know if you know, as far as who on the Conservation Commission, if Carl will do it again this year, or if it'll be someone else
Yeah.
that walks the trail, or if we just want to check in closer to that time period.
Yeah, I would say we'll check in and see, but if for some reason Carl isn't, then we'll have someone else that will take over that role.
Yeah.
For the event.
Yeah, that's just to reevaluate if there's any damage or anything else to the trails that need to be cleaned up to before.
And we do that for the other events. Same, the same.
I think too, in the past, you've notified like some of the neighbors.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
the
happening
neighbors are
over
here,
there?
they know us, they know the date. We also put signs out, like at the trailhead, like expect your breeze this day, you know,
Great.
have your traffic is normal. Just to yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you do the neighbor notification?
We knock on doors.
Okay.
Oh, it's cool, yeah.
No, that's the assistant planner leaving for another meeting.
And I guess our typical thing would be a motion to
Endorse.
endorse the event.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good.
So then
Forward
I'll
to
prepare it
another-
for the next town council meeting, so you have permission to use the park.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right.
I'm just gonna check if on here, Brian might be remote. No, I don't see him. Oh, maybe. Oh, there he is. So I have to give him permission to join, sorry. Yeah, so. Hopefully I'm handling that correctly. Brian, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were on. We have a new format for the meetings and I can't see the participants.
Yeah,
until
I saw
I'll look for you.
I saw it was a webinar there, and I was like, I wonder if I'm going to be able to say anything, or if it'll be like, "Is Brian here?" And then I'm not able to respond or anything. But thanks for having us. Sorry, I can't do my video either. It looks like, but
I might be able to give you permission. I'll look for that in a second.
Yeah.
But Karen, somebody had something to say here, so. I was gonna add, I was gonna ask for him to be added to the agenda under the public land and, you know, trail information but you can add it at audience of citizens. I think that's a formality that whatever at the commission's pleasure. If you think
I-
that's the appropriate place for it,
I think
that's fine, and
we-
I'll start moving them to something like that instead, if you'd like.
I don't, it really doesn't matter whether it's added, I don't think, or in the audience as citizen.
Okay,
let's take care of it now and then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
all right, so hold on one more second. So Brian, we have one other person here and then we'll get to you, but I did just promote you to panelist, so you should be able to share your screen
Thank you very much.
if that's what you want to do, but at the right time. Thanks. Okay,
Daryl Prieto, E-R-I. Yep. Right. So I'm a new resident of Berlin. I've just purchased January in Nature's Edge. It's a beautiful area, by the way. Love Berlin so far. Everything about it. Look forward to have many years here. My house is so new that there's no grass and I'm having contractors come in and out. And since I've had some arborists come in just to get opinions on some trees, I noticed one of them is completely dry rotted. So dry rotted, it's actually shattered at the bottom and it's in a bad position. The fear there is that it could, with these strong winds, especially the strong winds today, it could get toppled over and potentially damage the structure. There's a different set of trees where the one in the middle is completely snapped in half. The diameter of these trees are all about the same. And so there's also a fear that the other two that still remain standing, if they cannot support the winds, could also topple over and damage the structure. I have been speaking with, I'm sorry, is it okay to say Mrs. Maureen?
say Maureen, it's fine.
Or I've been speaking with Maureen, and she told me the proper handle, how to go about this, which is get an arbor, get a letter, which I do have here. I did email it to Maureen.
So I'm bringing it up on the screen. I'm just gonna try to share it first
Sure.
so that everybody in our audience
In
can
short,
see
the
it.
arborist agrees that not only is the dry rotted tree a hazard, but the two trees immediately next to it are a hazard due to their sheer girth. They're massive, they're just huge, and if they were to topple over, they're completely probably cause some quite significant damage. Those you're seeing right there are the smaller ones. You'll see one in the middle is snapped in half. I don't know if you can see it clearly from here, but I can probably get better. But my house would be right there immediately to the green. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right there. Right. Yep.
They're tall enough that if something would happen, they could hit your.
Yes.
So that's,
So that's the
what are the
first smaller
grouping?
group, and that group is in the easement.
So,
It's that, those are not. The dry rotted one, and the massive two question are in the land trust. I've reached out to Dennis. Hearn, and forwarded him this information. He said he would get in touch with land trust personnel to reach out to me. I just figured I would at least start here as well with this. I don't know if you guys want to, anybody wants to see them and
yeah, actually, I think I have a pile on the table too. So I just wanted to share the map as long as no members are online. Which I can pull up eventually, I hope. At the end of not the end of the cul-de-sac, but on the last house that's currently built within the cul-de-sac of Nature's Edge, which is a new road. The last one on the left right now. This is his lot and house, and there's this pie-shaped wedge of conservation easement. And basically, the conservation easement from our field measurements, if you look at the picture, goes from about where it's cleared. You know, it's kind of a triangular line that reaches out in this direction towards out here. And then goes back a little ways and comes back to the point up here, or
Yeah,
the
okay.
cutoff point is at this end. There are pins out there, so we were able to find the pins. When staff went out, we found that a couple of the trees that he had marked appeared to be beyond the easement. He came and asked the town's permission to remove them, thinking they were in the easement. A couple of the ones that were marked, appear to be in the land trust land, which is this side of the town's easement. So he needs permission from the land trust for any work in that area. However, within here, that falls under the purview of the conservation easement. The Conservation Commission would be overseeing. And so typically there is one tree, I think we'll find it in probably the next picture. That is right at the edge of the easement and his backyard.
That's the one.
And it's clearly broken in half.
Mhm.
So typically staff would have just not even brought it to you and said, yeah, the clearly dead trees can be removed if they're
That picture. is
close to
very-
falling.
Yeah.
You know, if they would otherwise fall into the property. If, you know, it was buried deeper into a deeper conservation easement and it would fall in the woods, we'd say leave it as part of the habitat, but this is kind of a, you know, transition zone when you're in the conservation easement where you have trees that might fall on the lot. And then, like I said, not being tree experts, we did ask that, the tree guy, which happens to be Brian Rogan, provide a letter telling us what is that, you know, why the trees should come down. So that's the second. That, yeah, and here, well, that's the broken one. Oh, and here we have the map of the conservation area where he's showing
Mhm.
where well, he's marked 3 trees, but he has more trees in his letter to
Right,
come
so
down than that.
The other ones are the ones in the trust.
Right.
So I don't think he included them
Okay.
because I have to go through the trust. I'm not sure.
These are the 3 that we saw in the previous.
Correct.
This is the one that's obviously.
That's the one in the middle
in the brook.
that is completely snapped in half.
And then the other third,
There's 2 beside it.
that side there.
Yeah, 1 to either side of it.
Now, these 3.
Yes.
But I mean,
The land trusts are gonna be towards the, if I may, approach the TV.
Yeah.
So the land trust trees in question are literally back here. There's a dry rotted one there and then 2 massive trees right next to it.
And they would still be a danger to you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, you have to do it to them.
This is just for perspective, this is the dry rotted one. This is the base of how it is. It's at the base. It's completely dry rotted, already snapped. But with the winds that are happening now, I'm actually kind of be surprised if it's still standing today.
Now, the one that
Is it-
snapped off and. Snapped off in the middle there,
Yeah.
did that happen while you've been living there, or did that?
No, it happened, yeah, since I moved in January, that happened, yes. A little bit, especially when you have a 2-year-old. Running underneath them.
Spec. It was over and then I got some dead trees in the back of my woods and I'm like, you're still standing today after like a terrible wind. You don't know, but you have to be safe.
Yeah.
So
This is the
that
letter.
takes care of a question I had. So the arborist is not recommending replanting for these
No,
3.
he's not.
Oh.
I would not recommend replanting any new trees in place of these because they are matured. Because as they mature, it would just lead to the same problem, is what the bottom of his
Yeah.
letter says.
Study what kind of trees they were.
No,
So the 3 trees in front are coming down, nothing's being replaced. The trees in the back, you want to bring those down, and it looks like recommendation that trees go up, which are in place of the trees in the back.
so
recommended.
the ones in the back, I believe they are recommended that I replant something, somewhere safer away from the home.
Yeah.
That, I believe that's what they're, but that's with the land trust, correct?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've started in on this kind of process, you know, in the last year. I think, you've done the right kind of process, you know, in taking action and contacting who you need to and I personally don't wanna without obvious like reasons or some kind of disagreement to start going against what a professional is recommending when you've gone through a process like this, so. I think, I think you've done the right kind of thing, and I don't see, based on what we've been shown, that we should be saying that they shouldn't come down or that they should be replaced, or there's something else that, yeah. I think, that you've gotten a professional's opinion on this, and I think for us with the easement and that we agree with the recommendations from the arborist.
I think it's especially considerate that they're recommending that trees on land trust property. It's
Mhm.
figured out, will be replanted that are natural for the area.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think that even though that's out of
Yeah.
our area, I think that's part of the package is what, you know, it seems to make sense, so. I think that's a good approach.
So typically, we also would have had the, we got this on quickly because this was last week and you're,
Mhm. No, that's-
obviously, we're meeting this week and we wanted to get it onto the agenda and get the land trust to be able to discuss it if they could as quickly as possible as well. Typically, we also go through or otherwise go through the, tree warden. So just so everybody knows, that's part of the process. I wanted to get that on the, you know, on the record, that that's also part of the process that we deal with as far as being staff. And that also is frequently when we're handling it, totally administratively. You know, those instances, like I said, the broken tree, you know, typically he would have gone out. But staff went out instead, myself and the deputy director of public works. One of the things we found when we were out there was that the developer put the limits of the conservation area on available trees, which made the property owner not really know where that line was, because the line is actually a few feet in front of the trees that are marked as at least by our measurements. So we're gonna get that rectified as well.
I would think so, to either endorse or support something
To
like
allow.
that. Yeah.
Allow, you can allow.
Okay.
I think you can allow.
Okay.
I'm
Tree
sorry.
warden still has to go out and confirm.
I'm not sure. I have to check with them. I have to check
Sure,
with
it should
them
be
because
on-
they have to do certain things by statute. So I have to just make sure that he doesn't have to.
Okay, why don't we, something like endorse the arborist recommendation
You want me
to
swear?
allow, removal of retrees. Identified in the, yeah,
But no replanting required.
with no, yeah. Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Oh, yes. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Yes,
Very grateful. Oh,
and
sure.
welcome to town.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yeah.
Lower?
Okay,
No,
all right. Well, I mean,
but look,
I think I got a lot of time, so we'll see, figure it out.
the land trust trees are far away from.
Not
you.
much further, not much
It's
further.
bigger.
If you look at the map that was up, it is those,
Not very deep.
yeah, those are massive. I can't even hug, like, we need three of me, probably to hug them. Yeah, they're pretty big. They're, oh yeah, there, so two of them are live, one of them's dry rotted with that crack, yeah, that's why it's a bit of a, that's why I think it's a bit of a,
It's really, really big. The ones close to us, like, all the parks, those, they grow real big, real fast, and then they
And then
die.
they gotta be-
Yeah.
elephant
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time.
Very
Have a
good.
great night.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Brian.
One,
you're-
how's it going?
Good, good.
Good. Thanks again for having me. Sounds, you guys deal with quite the array of issues. I'm sure we handle it gracefully no matter what comes about. Last year, there was something with like the Pistol Creek Golf Course that I was listening to. There was something.
Oh, probably the.
Like disc golf maybe,
That I just was talking.
Yeah.
or the conservation area, the disc golf or or was it the access to conservation? It might have been the parking area.
I think it was the parking area. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks hesitant. It looks like it was the parking area.
Yeah. I knew I had something. There's something a little crazy, but yeah, it's good. But thanks again for having me. So yeah, we're open to do the mountain bike race again. Starting at the Hatchery Brook Conservation Area, going up through Bicentennial. On the same loop that we've used in the past. We're looking for Saturday, June 7th for that, with a rain date of the following day. And as usual with our trail protection measures, we follow like the general guidelines of if there's like a rain within, like if there's 1 inch of rain within 24 hours of the start time, that's when we cancel and decide to move on to the rain date, or we've canceled altogether before. And we obviously take great pride in like preserving the beautiful conservation area and Bicentennial Park, and so we don't want to do anything to damage that. So we use our best judgment towards that with any of the decision to keep or postpone or whatever we have to do with the race, depending on the weather. And then of course, I'm expecting like no major changes, same sort of time frame. I'd expect just about the same amount of people, 200 throughout the day. I think last year was a little bit less than that, and usually about 75 people kind of on site at once. And I think of what else. We of course would coordinate with Tyler St. Jar with the fire department for emergency service plan, and he would help coordinate with EMS as well. And then we coordinate with Marine for Berlin PD and the fee waiver for that. And then of course we would notify regular users at the park with notices on the trailheads a couple weeks leading into it, as well as like the neighbors and the residents on Summit Wood and Linden Drive. We'd go and knock on doors and deliver written notice to their mailbox like we've done in the past as well for parking on that.
And once again, we have not had any major problem with the previous event, so that's been it's been I think a very good use of the property, and yep. And and we'll have to see, because Carl's been doing the follow-up, I think, there too. For the
Yep.
most part.
Yeah,
I
I want
know
to
that-
make sure we schedule a follow up with him this year for sure.
Yeah, and so I know the first year Carl and I both went out and did that, and then so we will, Carl's not here tonight yet, so there's plenty of time at this point, but we'll make sure that we have somebody covering that part, and hopefully that's Carl again, because he's familiar with it. And maybe a second person to learn what we do with that too for.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds
To
like a plan.
explain, we're getting a little bit of a transition of the Conservation Commission members. So
Okay.
we want to make sure that we bring
Yeah.
the tasks, some of those members that have been on for so many years is transition to new members.
So,
Okay, good. It's awesome.
so yeah, I'm the relatively new chair, so I've been on the commission for 25 plus years, but Michael's did not want to get reappointed, so he came in and said goodbye to us earlier, so and then we're losing Another member also, so with Rob, so hopefully that's it for a while.
Right, I'm
But,
sure that it can be challenging to bring new people on as it is with
Yeah.
any commission, any
Yes.
board or anything like that, so. Can appreciate that, for sure.
Yep, so, I guess a motion for, so that they can move this along too with the other steps to get the event going.
Yep.
Rain day, Sunday, June 8th. To be able to use the park again.
Second.
Yep. Any discussion? All
I'll
in favor?
just clarify for the record, as
as-
described and written out
Yeah.
with the parameters and
Yeah.
trail checking before and after.
Yeah,
Now
Yeah.
you can make your, I'm sorry.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good. All right,
Good luck, you guys.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
yes, all right, very
We'll be in
good,
touch. Thanks again.
okay. Yeah,
Have a great night.
yeah, you too. Yeah, those are two big events. The two big events really on the open space properties. Yeah,
We'll take good care of it.
yeah,
I was gonna say, they've been good.
yeah,
Do take care of it. But they get community members involved too.
Yep.
You know, it's the kids' team, it's not, it's, you know,
and this one in
it's got-
particular was something, I mean, we really did
you guys.
debate that
That's
the
scared about
first
it.
year, I remember.
Yeah. I think it started pre-COVID and actually, I think he wrote it down in his summary. But I think it's gonna be 2018, I wanna say, because they skipped a couple of years,
Okay.
I believe. I think they ended up skipping a couple of years for this race. I'm not sure the other one did. The other one might have skipped the 1 year, but not more for COVID, but
Yeah.
oh, you had at least,
Yeah.
there were at least 3.
But yeah, we were concerned about, you know, what's that gonna do to the trail and everything. We-
2017.
that's and we had a couple of things that they had fixed up a little bit.
Right, I remember that too, but they did.
Times, but yeah, and nothing major.
And they keep coming back.
Yeah.
Both the foot race,
Yeah.
bike race, they obviously like how we
Yeah.
treat them. I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think with the foot race, one of the biggest concerns was parking to start with,
Mhm.
and they managed that, and now they actually park along that area. And, you know, people carpool because they know. And because they lost use of the parking lot they were using to shuttle from. So that was a number of years ago and it hasn't created negative feedback.
all right. Moving on to our third item, but the next one will go back after that. So approval of the minutes from February.
I was gonna say Carol's here for the gardens. so-
Yes, and then,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
that's coming up, I figured. It's soon.
Mhm.
So, that we accept the minutes. That's it.
Again, we're gonna correct misspellings of last names.
And then there's another thing down, it says seconded by seconded, Aaron Campanero. Right? You can get rid of one of the seconded.
All right, we actually, these are already filed, so it'll be in the next minutes. So that one probably won't make any sense, but we'll try.
Okay.
And so unfortunately, once you file the minutes, you can't replace them with new minutes. You have to correct them in the next set of minutes, which is a change from the way we used to do it a number of years ago, like 20. But you can't change the minutes. Did someone second? I'm sorry.
Second.
No comments? Everybody, in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, and then use of town lands, we've taken care of item 1, and item 2, and then brings us to Hassley Brook Garden update. Hello.
No, I'm just supporting the report that James been doing that. I think it's been going relatively well. The communications improved. I think the gardeners are relatively happy. We open April 1st every year. The garden's already open. I've seen some activity with the gardeners returning. And so what's happening is some of the equipment is dated, particularly the tiller. We have a tiller I'm gonna guess that it's about 10 years old. Was there before I even started, so it's been around for a while. And so the gardeners are seeking or requesting a new one. And we would need, I guess, the permission here, primarily because there are only 2 power sources for available tillers. So it's either gas or electric. The existing tiller is gas powered. So I think when I made the request, it was the commission needed to provide input.
So, Steve weighed in on this and I thought I saved his email and I can't find it. And something else came up as a blank, so I'm wondering if that's what it was. Steve Wood, our grounds guy, weighed in on the fact that it is gas powered, but the commission in the past, especially when you were looking at the pump and some other things, were looking not to have powered equipment at the garden, although that has been gas powered. One of the issues is if you went electric, someone would have to take it and power it, and charge it or take the batteries and be the responsible person for that, which grounds does not, isn't equipped to do either. And let alone what if it goes down while people are using it and, you can't quick charge or anything. So an electric powered one or a battery operated one is really not an option. There's no electricity at the garden. So it appears as though either I don't know anything about tillers, so you're talking to the wrong person, but it seems like now most of the plots, again, I did bring to show that the garden was fully leased. Yay.
Great.
But the plots, it's probably the larger plots that
Yeah.
would benefit from a powered tiller. The smaller ones could probably work out with a manual one, from what my conversations in town hall with people that garden has been. The one time I had a huge garden, our landlord that we were on a farm and the landlord brought out his tractor. So it wasn't, not a tiller, it was a big thing. So anyway, that's the story of the tiller and whether or not the commission. Well, one, it's, you allotted a number of months ago, maybe last year sometime, that there was kind of a budget for ongoing maintenance, but the tiller is really a replacement of equipment from the garden account. There's plenty in the garden account. But the commission needs to be the one to say that that can be spent in that manner and what it can be spent on. And if anyone has, more knowledge and recommendations, it sounded to me like Carol was looking towards getting recommendations as well. Steve had found one.
I mean, I don't know what company you have or what you have. Yeah, I don't know the model yet. But I think. Very much.
So Steve might.
Steve had a recommend,
Might have a
oh,
recommendation.
it died.
But when you said
it's
manual, the
opened.
smaller plots could be done manually,
Wait
does
a
that mean
minute,
like people
that's not what I
digging
wanted.
themselves?
Yeah.
Depends on their age.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
certain
me-
gentleman. He was
Come
one
on,
of those
go
guys.
away. Everybody doesn't need to be my email.
So they're.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're healthy and you do that, but that's still, I mean,
Yeah.
I have a little mantis,
There
it's
it is.
adorable, but it's hard to, it's one of these pull things.
Yeah, so
So
that,
that's a
the
problem.
problem.
So
right
maybe
there.
if Steve's looking at one, they should probably do one where they put the gas in and then they can just like turn a key or something, like, you know.
So he had,
Yeah, like no.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
And really, those are the gardeners.
That's a lot of money.
yeah, I thought he said it was in the 250 range, didn't
Yeah,
he?
they're up, yeah.
Yeah,
Bigger.
he had
Yeah.
pulled this one. I thought, maybe not. It might be just what loaded from the link. There might be
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
See that mantis one? Oh, that's the one I have. I think, I don't know if it still has.
Was there a 299 one?
I don't know.
Okay, go back.
Hey, we
Go
like that
back.
one. And it's a nice color, look, it's green. Oh, it's a,
I think it's, is that?
oh, it's battery charged, yeah.
Battery. Sorry,
Now,
guys.
The,
If they're
just,
green.
just that, for a tiller, we're really talking about. Oh. Do they, use that in the fall also when they're done?
No, most gardeners, when they're prepping the garden for the upcoming season,
They're expensive.
they use.
Right.
Some didn't.
I feel like they're cheaper.
Their own killer trucks.
If we'd only owned a bit less.
Yeah. I just didn't know if they, used it in the spring and then when everything was done, if they used it, that they did turn it over.
It's something that is a good, but.
Yeah.
It's really challenging.
So, I mean, I would like, if it were at my place, I would like to see it be battery or, like there's something, but you can't do it.
What is it?
But it's not something that is gonna get used. It's a particular once or twice during the season, during the year. And then so it's not like, okay, we're,
So the individual gardeners will like, get this on the shed and use
Locked,
it,
under
or,
locked shed.
okay.
Yeah.
Or does somebody from Public Works just
No,
fill up the
no.
whole garden? Or everybody, no.
yeah, no, but
That-
that's
that would be-
actually, like,
That would actually work out better, I think.
if.
Oh.
Yeah, but then they're putting an extra burden.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They,
What's
they,
the-
yeah, I've been,
What's the big-
I had that up today. Look at it, it's a couple of thousand.
It is?
So there's money.
Cause it doesn't have to be a huge one.
Any of them that would know.
I can survey,
All the guys,
You'll get 2 more recommendations than you have
yeah.
gardeners. that day.
and,
Um,
Put up to Steve.
yeah.
You just let it, maybe it's something that we could set up there, I could have handed. Like his recommendation, see what he had. Yeah.
Like you're going like this.
I think that's what the smaller gardeners do, right? But then the 10 by 10 is 10. Yeah, which one? 309?
Yeah.
The Mantis?
We've got 5 by 10 and then 10 by 25. And 20 by. Yeah.
I mean, I think
Is the one you have now a Key Star?
A new pole start usually isn't too difficult though, if it's a new one.
If you type in key start.
I'm looking to see, do you see that this says pull?
No, so.
Pull up to a certain amount.
If we could craft a motion that says, as long as, you know, we have enough money for Nathan. for the
I do.
Right, so if we could
Do you wanna
craft it
put a
and say,
limit now?
well, that's what I'm wondering, and just say, based on recommendation from town staff
Yeah.
for the appropriate.
I mean, I live in. See, we don't know if all. We don't know if they'll get full, or, I know it'll be more expensive.
I can see the full start.
Yeah.
That one,
I don't see it on that Mantis one we just looked at though. That one doesn't look like it's, I don't see a
There's one
pull.
on the top.
They're all gonna probably be.
Yes, I can see it, it's in the back.
I mean, like even snow blowers and that kind of stuff. I mean, you plug it, you have electric starter.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Electric start.
yeah, there might be sort of one of
Yeah.
those, where you sort of find it or anything.
Right.
Pull it.
Or the electric starts, but you have to plug them in and there's no power on it.
No.
Yeah.
Just do a motion that says that we authorize the use of the garden funds up to $700 based on the recommendation of town staff.
I mean, that's.
Yeah,
And then-
I mean, it's
and then that way,
gardeners
you know,
funds, but
We're not
even-
doing this next month. You know, I mean.
That's the hope anyway.
Yeah.
You gotta come back if it's
Yeah,
$701.
Why don't we-
just throw in the dollar. I could see.
I mean, Steve is, I think, very,
he's not gonna spend 1,000 if we tell him.
Steve is frugal.
We
Steve
just don't-
is very
you're right.
frugal.
We just don't wanna end up where we're not really sure. And
Yeah.
you get something packed and goes over by, you know.
So when-
It's really.
Seems like so much.
Yeah,
I mean, I would like to know,
I would think. it's
I would
gonna end
rather
up being
get to
one of the
the,
smaller ones, because it's gotta be small enough to be able to, yeah. Cause it's gotta be small enough to,
Yeah. The big ones are hard to
Right.
operate.
cause,
you know.
cause there are gonna be some people that have the 5x10.
Yeah.
That are gonna wanna use it. So you can't, something that's huge
Right.
That's why
for
we
that
use the-
small space. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and-
think like a 12-inch.
yeah. And then the other ones are 20, the biggest plots, we got 10 of them that are, 20 by 25. It just takes them a little longer to do, that's all.
Up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think,
Say 750?
yeah, I would go at least, yeah, Yeah.
Okay, 750.
I'm leaving, so I don't. do it. But that seems reasonable, especially.
That
if
seems-
Steve is gonna be.
or, yeah,
I don't think
Yeah.
he's gonna drive that
Yeah.
down there.
yeah, yeah.
You know, especially older farmers or men or women,
Exactly.
you don't want a big one because it is. I use a big one at Hunger for it and it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's. Yep. To, the motion to approve using,
We can use
right, but using,
garden
garden funds to purchase a new tiller
Up to.
up to $750 and based on the recommendation from town staff on make and model.
Yeah.
Well, that was your motion.
Oh, second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sound good to people? Right. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Does that meet your needs, you think?
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
So generous, and the gardeners are so happy. And I think this year I actually saw new benches. I don't know if you know that, but I.
No, I
did. days ago and there were new benches out front, so.
Oh,
every year we
nice.
kind of get something better, improvement.
Yeah.
But
I actually, I do
it's
think
like,
Steve mentioned benches a while back. I think somebody did mention that. So that's nice.
I actually.
Yeah.
What else did you guys suggest? Small, right? Not tall.
They mean?
So then easy start, smaller scale, right? Brandon, what else did they say? What other things did you say? Easy start, not pull, but push start, smaller scale. That's key. Push or key.
Yeah,
And
and I.
Are there any other little things people suggested? Is Tom said a couple of things to be easy, small,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Cause it's gotta, and Steve's gonna, it's gotta be. able to be
Maneuverable.
used in the 3 different sizes. Lots.
Yeah,
It's not,
I got it. And look, I just found this 8 best small garden tillers reviewed. Backyard Style, that's a good magazine. So there we go. Oh, sorry.
That, no, that was good. Thank you again.
Say, they were in my neighborhood, be a crazy tiller.
That you're supposed to just kind of pull the weeds you're staying and you're planting your plants, because if you till, you're bringing all those seeds up again and get more weeds. This is the new, and I don't subscribe to it, but I'm just saying, it's all in all the gardening stuff, yeah.
Anything else, Maureen, that you know of that would be in public land, trailing?
So one of the other things I had, let me get rid of this on my screen, because now I'm just like searching stuff for no good reason. Okay, so I don't have to do it tomorrow. The garden tiller, let me put that there. There was some tree work that had to be done in Bicentennial Park. I don't know if it's completed yet, but, Heidi Brierly had sent an email over for, and asked that Public Grounds go out. And we have a whole bunch of, photos of some trees that had come down in storms through the winter and some that were blocking trails, etc. So they needed to be cleaned up. So I just wanted everyone to know that. And then they may be coming in with some ideas for some projects. For Eagle Scout projects and things like that, but we're not there yet. But again, those types of things are surging, hopefully, because I think we have some maintenance that would be well served by an Eagle Scout project or similar, like we had a few years ago, you were getting one a year or one
Yeah.
every couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think it's been probably almost since COVID, before COVID, that you had any.
Yeah,
So,
and anything.
One of my old troop, phased out and merged with another one.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I did mine at the high school, so.
Hmm.
The last,
Yeah, it's
Sam
less-
River had something to do with, connecting or behind town hall. Were they doing a bridge or something?
we've done a trail
Yeah.
from Town
Was that-
Hall over
was
to
that
Percival
a-
Park. I know we had
Yeah.
the town had work done over there, but there might have been a portion of it that a scout worked on the bridge itself and something.
That trail, that connector trail, is pretty much. abandoned.
Oh, we've got to work on it again. Okay,
Maybe they do, but it's pretty invested. Yeah.
well, probably needs to be cleaned up every year anyway, because it's not very old.
It's only. like
It's
2
only
years,
a
so-
couple years old, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they had some problems with how they had to fence and poured off the soccer fields. We had to like do some realignment back there. So it may be because there was a problem with that, and topography, because of where the fence for the field had to be. That's my recollection anyway. It had to do with the fence. And there was a whole, what do you mean? They're supposed to be getting there on the trail, and then there was, the other layer of issues. I gotta say, I remember the conversations. I don't remember the outcome. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
it's negotiable.
Yeah, but no, I wouldn't want that to go either, because I believe we did, we put some investment into getting that trail, so, let's see.
Hopefully they haven't messed with the fences. I was a soccer coach, and the warning track out there. Huge snapping turtle will lay its eggs out there every year. Get through the fence at one point. I think that little one that you go, like go around it. I don't know how, if it got under or got around, but it would dig. Yeah, every year. The only other thing I have that's kind of related, and might as well just mention, because we don't really have an update, is there's still supposed to be a meeting coming up, right? For the,
POCD?
no, the lamentation with the fire damage. I haven't seen any follow-up. There was something,
We have a new.
we-
yet.
yeah,
Oh,
the
one
walk,
we're back out. So there
out.
was 2 weeks
yeah,
ago,
but,
I don't think
and
there's
I
a
don't think
date.
there's a
The
date.
dates are still funny.
Right,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
hasn't been set yet, but there will be a group, and that's really most of it's not ours.
Right, so most
But-
of the damage. That's where most of the fire. The trail, and the
Yeah,
access
that's-
points, primarily from Middletown, but did also
Yeah.
have, access through Berlin, and therefore the meetings that we're having include, and this is with Deep, with, Meriden, with Middletown, with the Land Trust, with the CFPA. I don't even know who else is on that
Yeah.
chain. It was quite, the group was quite large,
Yeah.
breadth wise, to discuss what to maintain out there, one for fire access, but also to mitigate that those accesses then being used by vehicular traffic, the ATVs and the like. But while also perhaps replanting for some of the understory where that was damaged by the fire. So it's kind of a multi-layer meeting, and we're gonna go walk it and, with the experts from Deep and, CFPA, if
Yeah.
nothing else, as at the very least. Oh, I think the CROG too. I think that, was also on there. So,
Yeah.
and see where one funds to do some of this stuff, but then also what partners are gonna be working on and what's priorities to send up to the state as well. So then we have P and Z.
Yep. Senior housing.
Ooh.
Former, I think, Columbia. Right there, Percival.
Yeah, so now we're back to Percival. What do you mean?
They lost money. Gonna be there and then boom, it's gone. Remember that?
So,
Yeah.
the town partnered with, so this is the former Knights of Columbus site, owned by the town. And the, town partnered with the, Housing Authority, the Berlin Housing Authority, who wasn't ultimately able, within a reasonable period of time, to get funded for the project. That didn't come to fruition, so the Planning and Zoning Commission last year, the year before, approved a text amendment that allowed for the town to partner with not the Housing Authority. The regulation was written that it was just the Housing Authority. They then allowed, we modified the regulation so that the town could partner with, another entity. And very specific still on town-owned property, very specifics about it. So we've partnered with this, group called Vesta Corporation after sending out an RFQ and, you know, doing the whole bid process and whatnot, or RFQ process. And they are now have pending applications before the Wetlands and Planning and Zoning Commission. So it was supposed to be opened up at P and Z. The last meeting, we postponed it to the next meeting so that they can have the public hearing for wetlands first. The application it's I wasn't involved with the first round of applications, you know, that came, actually, I think I had just started when they were in the approval process. But they did ultimately get an approval from Wetlands, however, because this is a new company and a new, you know, new engineering, new everything, they needed a new wetlands approval. And little things some things may have changed on the plan. Certainly it is a new plan. It's up to 70 units right now. And affordable senior housing. So this is the plan set. It'll be in P and Z and Wetlands next month. Which the public hearing will open before you meet again. So I wanted to make sure that you guys saw it. We haven't done our full analysis on it yet, although I know quite a bit about it because I've been dealing with them since they were, you know, we put it out to bid. Or out to RFQ, so.
They're taking down the old building. Right?
Yeah, the old building will come down and,
Wasn't sure that
It'll be two
the
buildings?
property was that wide.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Well,
I think
Thanks
it's
to the
the two of them, yeah, it's two of them, if you wanna put one at each end of the table, it's up to you guys. You looked at it online already, or do you need to look at it again?
Grateful that
I'm gonna say we could put
the
them,
property line boundary is changing so that we're getting the rest of the baseball fields.
Yeah,
Because that
And
could have
that's-
got a little weird if they didn't do that.
so that's
So
been
that-
in the plan forever, we actually
Okay.
got the 824, I think. If I remember correctly, we did the 824 for that transfer a long time ago,
Oh,
years.
oh, okay.
And now
Right,
we're
whenever you guys
doing it
see
again,
it.
because we weren't gonna change the lot line
Hmm.
until
This guy's-
a sale was imminent. Yeah, it's, yeah, it's a modification, because right now there's an encroachment of the baseball field, so this is the new proposed property line, I think is that line. No, well, it looks like it's that line.
For like personal liability.
I wish I remembered.
The
But
baseball field, I think is,
is this
I
line?
think it's, yeah, it's right here.
So then. No, it's kind of a wonky little triangle that moves.
but this is all part of the property as well?
This is all the property.
Okay.
So you
No, I
come
was
in
looking
on
at this
the
one as the
first
property, but that's. Yeah.
To the first page.
This is the property line, this is the setback line. That
Yeah.
must be what they did. The dark line. So they did it opposite of the way people usually do it, but they made the dark line the setback line and the light
Right.
line is the
And
property
because when I
line. So the
first looked
light
at
line is the property line. I'm like, it's labeled property line. Why does it look like that? I'm sorry.
Different.
No, they're not the same book, really.
Oh, they're not?
Grading plan, drainage and.
Oh, I have the architectural plans instead. Yeah, these are the architectural plans. You have the site plan that we want to be looking at. You want to
But
look
this
at that.
one,
This is all wet.
Yeah, so you can see that on that one too. I'm sorry, I didn't realize they were. So, so you can see this, the hatched marks on that one up at where see, that says baseball field. So now we have a
Yep.
plan with the baseball field. We were just looking at the wrong plan. Yes, the professionals were looking at the wrong set of plans. Oh. If you can't admit your mistakes and laugh at them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
And this is the same, no, this is the opposite side of Purcell Avenue, no, or yeah.
Okay, so down. And you go in Sherwood Falls. I'm standing at Sherwood Falls. I come up Percival
Mhm.
toward to the south.
Oh, okay.
And it's on the left. The pool
Right.
is
Oh, I know where it is, except
Okay.
I'm just trying, I know.
to
it is.
orient yourself. Yeah, so well, I was trying to do the left,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, okay, there, okay, and then it comes in.
It does, yeah, so this is the driveway that comes in.
Yeah, and it'll still be the only driveway in.
Amazed that there's that much it goes out, it goes in, because this is the existing building, right?
Yes,
That is all,
yep.
oh, but this is wetlands, they're not touching this. So the bill, okay.
44 years this year.
And these are existing homes?
These are definite, yeah. Like I said, this property, your driveway is over here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty,
Yeah.
fun.
Pickleball. I don't know, I'm old and I don't play pickleball.
Bocce is right along the wetland area. But it looks like
Senior
there's some sort of
But
buffer.
That
There you go. What's that?
gonna be okay?
I mean, it seems that's a setback. for the
Yeah, the wetlands is
so-
actually this.
So they're in a, you know,
It's
Yeah.
plenty of
a
room.
little bit, but.
What's this? over
This
here?
is community garden. Yeah,
It's really
but
nice.
that looks like it'll extend into the setback, line,
Yeah,
but not
right.
into the actual.
Right,
wetlands.
right.
Upland review area is
Yeah.
the way we
Yeah.
refer to
Oh,
that
Yeah.
line, which is
Seems okay.
maybe get an increase by
Yeah.
the by statute.
Really?
It's proposed,
see
you
it
think?
happening
You think
in
it's in
life,
one of the
for God's sake.
legislation?
Well,
I'd like to
it's
see the
about
100.
since
We have
2007.
50.
I mean, there's gonna be a
50.
solid surface, this is all
Yes.
the parking.
800 is
So
what.
let's see.
If you flip to the next page there, you're gonna see the building. So that's showing you the buildings and the layout.
That's the garden, that's right, and then, so is there?
So
just one-
agricultural uses can be within the wetland anyhow.
Right.
Oh, parking, a lot of parking.
And they're gonna have a turnaround?
Kind of like.
Well,
what
for,
we have now.
at the very least, for emergency access, that's a key point, because if you get, if you get a fire truck or an emergency vehicle in there, you don't want them having to
Back up.
yeah, you don't want
Got it.
3-point turns or anything else. You want them to be able to get
Because-
through the
because
site.
They will have, well, and they will have two-way traffic to go. Essentially like. a one-way road.
Gonna go 2 ways?
Yes.
It's gotta be 2 ways. It's, what there must have been 2 ways. How do you get out?
There's a different way. out. Because it comes this way, it's one, can't go in this.
No,
way.
that's Percival. That's at Percival. This is a driveway next to it. I believe, right? It's a second driveway, isn't it? Oh, I did it again. That's what I thought.
That's a Columbus building. Place.
What is it? It's 143, right?
Okay,
I think it's fantastic that all of this is getting preserved and isn't getting touched at all, and for such a big site, I think that's kind of important. That we can put all the density in one little corner.
right.
Yeah. Which is good, because that they really, I mean, we've seen other projects where they
Right.
work their way through, but you know, it's,
Yeah.
they're just gonna load it here some, so it's probably gonna change a little bit of the wetland kind of,
I think as long as they're careful, as long as they
Yeah.
put up the silt fence
Yeah.
like they're supposed to, or the hay bales or
Yeah.
whatever.
but it will get the drainage off of the
Right.
pervious. So, you know,
Mhm.
right there in the review area and
Right.
almost up into the wetland.
So. Here,
What?
But
So here's Percival Park up here, and their driveway goes out here.
Right.
And then you go up past these couple of houses, and then this driveway is here. So that it's its own driveway. And they will have to improve it to proper 2-way traffic. The site, so our zoning regulations have certain widths that are required. And one of the reasons on that drawing that they put the truck size was to show the turning radius of emergency vehicle. I did, that should have been the truck that's of the largest size we have. It may not be, I didn't, like I said, we haven't thoroughly reviewed the plans yet. Like I said, I have, but. So,
No, only that all the impervious surface, at least from that second building area and beyond, is all gonna go towards, towards the wetland and ultimately in. I just don't know what else, you know.
Will there be any other type of mitigation?
what do you have the drainage
Yeah.
plan?
And
Flip to the drainage plan.
it's got the,
It's gotta be one that says drainage.
Yeah, we were looking
this
at
one.
that.
Oh,
It's
there it
this
is.
one. So.
So do they have chambers?
Is that what these are?
Those are
Rock.
just the exits for the pumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not doing,
Well, they're calling this a detention area.
oh, right,
So-
okay, so they might be doing an above grade detention area.
Doesn't get into the wetlands. I was thinking that they were draining out into here, but they'll work their way.
Right, because.
Yeah, you can see the.
Because here's,
geography on
that's,
it.
yeah,
So that this is, you know, a pond,
Okay, but this is the
Yeah.
building, right?
depressed
So
area.
they're, okay, so.
They're building
Yeah,
a
there's the
depressed
hockey
area.
court, so it looks like it's gonna be right inside here, not quite to the wetlands.
Yeah, you can see, you can
right.
see the grading that
right.
they do for it, which is probably on the grading plan for the grading of the
So that's, you know,
detention
area.
If the
there's not
detention
much,
area
there's
will
not
hold
much
it
else
long
that we can
Right.
kind of ask or, you know,
Couldn't call it
And-
senior housing because of the status.
Yeah,
Is
there was
this
something
actually-
with
and
the-
they are gonna,
It's
they,
gonna be
they
the-
call for the silt, the other ones
They
goes to
don't
silt
find it.
fences beyond that during
to
construction,
have it be
so.
Younger, like 18.
Yes, and that's for the concern because ADA.
So I would say, you know, just something along the lines that it's important for the silt fence, proper silt
Right.
fence installation to, and, and I don't know,
Oh, guess what? Carl was trying to.
oh, he
come
was
in
trying to get in.
and-
Oh, we couldn't hear him.
Yeah, so that's something I have to. Is when we have.
Yeah.
And I kept watching it, it only said like, there was the.
The two for a while.
Two, but then I didn't see anything like in a waiting room.
No, it
So-
just is watching this. And unfortunately, it's one of those, it's a necessary evil because of the issues we had, but it won't be as friendly for most of my more interactive meetings.
That proper. Being careful, you know, about the detention area so that it works properly to keep.
Right, I don't know, does that need to be maintained?
Right.
You know, we always say that.
So that runoff doesn't go directly into the wetland.
We've gotten that down, Maureen, at all?
Yep.
So, anyway, something happened.
But it was the last
Yeah,
part of
that's
that
great.
sentence you said, what
the
about to
runoff,
protect
runoff.
the runoff too?
Right, that the detention, what's it called, detention area is maintained
Right.
And,
to prevent runoff reaching the wetland area?
yeah,
Sediment, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. You know,
The goal is to have all
runoff
that-
going directly into the wetland.
All that
Yeah.
cockaboo stuff to settle out before it gets to the.
Yeah.
Wetland. You don't have to. cockaboo
You should.
but I-
I'll make sure- You won't be around to
Yeah.
change it, but we're gonna,
You know what?
we're gonna- yeah, we're gonna be, yeah. Anything else? No.
That was it.
Yeah. Silt fence and Big
Well,
mess.
You want them rolled together? You sure?
The only commentary I would offer, and this is just sort of a general observation for all the development. It seems like still fence is the go-to solution for everything, even when it's inadequate.
When it's
I
6
mean,
inches
as
above
far,
the
no,
ground?
no, I mean, proper installation is important. What I'm saying is they use still fence in areas that have a lot more exposure.
Oh.
A lot longer slopes than really still fence should address, you know, you need something sturdier there, like a berm or something else like that, but.
Yeah.
And.
Or hay bales.
Yeah, so a lot of times they
Well,
really
hay
should.
bales and still fence are, you know, they're sort of the equivalent, you know, but what I'm saying is if you get a long slope and a lot of exposure, you really need something bigger. And just a still fence and things like that. The other thing that seems to be lacking in a lot of cases too are the construction entrances.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
make a lot of calls on construction entrances to repair.
Or installed. to begin
Especially
with.
And they-
Yeah.
To monitor a little better. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a couple of years I didn't even leave the building except for at 6 o'clock at night, and then you kind of say, yeah, I think it's there. It's dark out, but I think it's there. Yeah, that's totally been one of the things that we're upping the monitoring of.
Orchard,
Um,
Kensington.
Oh, that one was a constant.
1,000 trucks over the last 2 years.
That was very much a constant.
And they've opened up.
And actually, they ended up getting,
Nothing other than.
there
dirt
isn't,
and mud.
are they working there again?
They had that. No, this is
No.
the one that used to be.
Pierre's Garden Nursery, the Sunny Borders
Oh.
in Kensington Road and Orchard.
Yeah.
Orchard.
It's gonna be four. They put it so-
I had a friend
Really,
that
there's
lived
probably
down
10,000 going through.
Well, then you could talk about High Road. I had to listen to them grind every last tree in the last 2 days. Around that property, and I drive by with the dogs today. Just nothing but wasteland. And then the houses that are plopped right next to each other along High Road. It's the worst of it.
That was different.
So I'm really, no traffic.
What do we have on for,
That'll change. When they
Here,
all
but
move
he
into
couldn't
this.
see. There's only a few things.
oh, he could.
He couldn't see it. Oh,
So maybe it was dark screen for him, I don't know, because I'm not familiar with this, but that's what he just texted me. He said after the gentleman was talking about the easement and, you know, the taking down trees, so that's what I was told. Yeah, I will participate, so, yeah, he was here for unfortunately. But I doubt we were able to see it or talk.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on a minute. Let me write that down before I forget.
We can do that later.
What are we looking at here?
Corner of Norton and, let's give him 4 Rod.
That's.
Oh, that's a big open field.
Yeah, they always cut the grass there and stuff.
Finally sold it. I can't think that nobody would buy it, it would stay, but we would buy it and make a little just. I think the neighbors brought the shop.
It's not industrial style, garage type buildings. So,
Storage?
yeah, it's for contractor, contractor garages, really, it'll be, it's proposed as indoor storage. You know, they won't have, like, it's not a contractor yard, they're a contractor,
Will there be?
I am so sorry. I am drawing a blank on words today. I'm having a terrible time. But for the contractor use, so figure like similar to HVAC contractors, things like that that would have their stuff inside because it's valuable. Plumbers.
Just at the end.
When it's so that, like.
It'll be like contractor trucks, but,
Yeah, but not big.
but they represented the planning and zoning commission, not large, not 18-wheelers. There's not really much of a way to prevent 18-wheelers, but that wouldn't be their business models for them to drive 18-wheelers. They're going to job sites in job trucks. Yeah, I missed writing, but the note I was writing. This is terrible doing two things at once.
So what that
Sometimes
means-
this just does not work.
This is for their stuff, means that you're always gonna have contractor vehicles and, you know,
Over there.
Again, it's an allowed use in the zone, so that's what we,
and this is all, I think that. It's all solid. Yeah, that's all, the only part that's really wetlands. I remember looking at this for last month's meeting.
really quickly tried to, right? Didn't we try to?
Is that other business right over?
Oh, here we go.
Right,
That's the
because-
whole
because
bridge, it was gonna go there, just a little
wetland that-
building
that goes
like that.
over and then goes on that side. So it's gonna
Be all road and parking lot.
And I still wonder how well defined the cemetery boundary really is.
Well, they had it surveyed, they did.
Because it's, you know. My understanding is it's the equivalent of, I know it's unmarked. And whether there's a section that.
There is a thing.
Right. Set up.
You wanna,
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
you see if I can.
Fenced, I mean, the front's fenced, I've never noticed the rest of it.
Oh.
Go by.
Where'd I go back? What happened? What did it do to me?
What you could see and what seems to be improved is the extent of the cemetery. I guess that's stuff.
Maybe they got a grant for cemetery.
Yeah, 8,000 or something.
I didn't.
Oh, we had this problem at the P and Z meeting the other night. Where this annotated. Yeah, but we brought it up in a PDF too.
See the entrance on Norton, it's a small space, so,
I think you're wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a small area between Kensington and Fort Rye. Plus I just don't think it's a good idea.
What I don't like about this,
The public hearings is in front of planning and zoning now. It was opened last Thursday night.
so this is our property right here, because it's cemetery.
Yeah.
Take the tree line and cut it to basically what looks like right on the line. Which I think that under the zoning regulations, we should encourage. The planning and zoning commission, I'm hesitant to think this would get approved anyways, but if it did get approved. I would like them to really buff up that. Tree line to
buffer.
not have them bring it all the way back to the property line. I think that's kind of just. We're wasting our town space because it's not gonna be as enjoyable if there's. Parking lot with big trucks coming in and out, that's right next to it. Is my opinion.
Yeah, I think keeping whatever you can, out there is a good idea. It's a good point. The other thing that I'm first seeing that I don't like necessarily is a lot of elevation here. And the wetlands right next to it. They're
So they're building
Technically,
this
they're-
up, right? And
right.
This is gonna drop
So they're
down.
technically staying out of it, but they have a lot of elevation here.
So they're adding the elevation?
It looks like, yeah, because they're trying to.
Right.
This thing's,
Buildings.
if I'm picturing it correct, the cemetery is high, because
Yeah.
because
And over here,
Norton
this
goes
building
down,
evens up a little.
so it kind of has like a little dip and stuff in it where it comes down the hill and then it flattens out. They're gonna try to get this as level as they can. But you have here a lot, that looks like it's gonna be a detention. But then on the other side, there's still a lot of
Yeah.
contour lines there.
And I guess not just our. They're taking up as much space as possible, which is the exact opposite of the personal project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're right.
We'll say,
So you do have the drainage on following plan. You want me to see if I can find a bigger plan? I'm sorry, these are small. I didn't realize I only had the small ones.
this isn't good enough to know.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's bigger.
I would, it's a significant wetland on Valley too.
It's a tremendous amount of hardscape that they're proposing. For limited drainage, which looks like it's gonna be forced into the wetlands directly.
what's the maximum impervious surface in the zone, do you know?
I could look it up in an instant.
And would that
I mean,
hypothetically
it's pretty.
exclude wetlands as well? or no?
I mean, essentially, they're almost, other than the other retention up on the top. It's almost 100% of the buildable space.
Yeah. Right. They've got 9 proposed buildings, and all parking all the way around.
Right, and driveway. So there's up on the northwest corner, looks like a detention area.
Yeah,
And then there's one down at the southern
right.
end.
So that and that.
Other than that, almost
That's a rain garden.
everything else is almost all pavement.
Right. And it looks like the corner where the cemetery is, it's gonna be up and going down, looking down on the cemetery. Right, so here. you all
Must have a
photographic
spot grade on
lines.
there.
The
Yeah.
cemetery
Yeah.
would be here. Yeah. So now, you're in the cemetery with nothing, as you said, or one row of trees, right? Looking up at all these buildings.
What is this? PI two. Yeah.
And again, I feel bad for the people that live across the street. Yeah.
60%.
Yeah, I mean, I think 60%, I don't know if there's a measurement on it.
There's gotta be on the zone, on the site plan. Would have one.
There's a lot of school traffic. in Elementary school.
Yeah, all the schools have the maximum impervious coverage 60, they're saying that's 52.5 is their measurements.
Right.
I don't even,
Because this probably, and then they do have some of this, that's not, I was thinking.
yeah, I don't know, I might wanna double check their math, I don't know if that passes the eye test for me. 52.5, that's like,
That property's been for sale for years. Nobody bought it. Somebody else can buy it.
But they can, I don't know, they can use the wetland,
in the
Again,
impervious calculation.
the impervious, shouldn't there be? I mean, it might be a different number than 60 in the case, but to me, you almost should look at buildable area and how much isn't. Yeah, I know, but that's
Now,
a,
These folks, whoever wants to build this has purchased it. Like they own this. Or is this just a proposal of what they want to build, and if they get approved, then they'll buy it? Or
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if the owner of the current owner of the property is the LLC or not.
maximum
and-
building.
And
height.
who, because a lot of times they come in with the engineer being the
There's less
applicant or
than
the
2.
lawyer, we don't.
Cause the sign is.
Necessarily.
157 parking spaces.
That should take up the whole.
Again, so it is, so remember that on Four Rod Road, the west side of the road is primarily industrially zoned
Yep.
and the east side of the road is residential. It's, and it's been that way for, yeah, and in part, and I explained this to someone that came to the counter or was at the meeting, that, typically that might be the case because you have the railroad tracks. So some of the industrial properties along there actually have a spur that goes off, or did, the spur might be gone now, but the spurs were there historically because that is the railroad line that
Right.
you brought your stuff in and out on, whether it's your materials or your product. So, you know, that's the one thing to remember. So that in the industrial zone, you are allowed that more intensity than you might expect if you were to drive down the road and go, oh, Norton Road's a nice residential road. Well, it's crossing a road that has industrial uses.
I think the other guys did a good job at hiding their industrial use,
Yeah.
where I don't think this developer is being very considerate to both the town open space, but also the wetlands and also the residential neighbors. But
Yeah.
what the residential neighbors are gonna show up in groves anyways at the hearing.
We had several speaking the other night. Oh, that was oh, yeah, this is,
So I guess,
Landscape
if
plan.
we can probably be joining the other kind of people in with comments, but I think concerned about the amount of impervious surfaces, very little.
Did you get this, Maureen, already?
okay, I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
I got some of it. I was looking for a
Concerned over
better
the amount
plan.
of impervious surface in the proposed project.
Close proximity to the wetland area. Including the detention that abuts the, you know, that borders on the wetland area. And I don't know, slope in some of the eastern areas along the wetland area. And I would say, I think you had a good point about like the trying to keep the border and no real border protection for the town property.
Yep.
Which we're talking about tree line, you know.
Yeah.
Lack of.
And then if the proposed it's storage for heavy equipment, is that what? This is?
No, no.
What's gonna go in the buildings?
Like, a contractor shops kind of like, maybe where a plumber would keep their stuff because it can't be outside. You know, not a contractor like a landscaper that would store outside,
Okay.
but ones that would store materials and equipment inside.
But people
And
are going
and possibly their
there's nothing in it.
trucks.
So that. Traffic.
Especially if you're talking about north, the one on.
So that's
North
really
Road.
outside the purview
Yeah.
of the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission for a comment. Those come to P and Z and make comments, but that's, you know, would be not a Conservation Commission concern.
Into the.
So I'd say, you know, in general, right, and that kind of goes into the slope issue too with. Wow, that's, I mean, I had heard that there was something coming on this, but that's not,
Yeah,
that's
I-
not what I
I would
expected to
be
see compared to what is further up and some of in the other ones further down. Keep away from the wetland. They put a couple of, that have the road going in with a bridge or whatever. And then you get in and buildings in the back away and, you know,
There's a buffer.
around it. This is just,
When you go down Fort Rodney.
yeah, that is gonna be the biggest, that's gonna be one of the biggest eyesores, I think, in town. If it gets built the way that it is.
That are
Mhm,
well buffered.
we do. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's, yeah. Yeah,
Why mean, that's their ultimate dream, that they're waiting for it, then they'll come back, well, we'll take away.
right, right. We'll put in 7.
Yeah,
You know.
only put in 100. That's gonna be a lot.
So potentially that's, it may be, you know, 2 trucks or whatever for it. I don't know. I mean, do they store their trucks there too? Or their cars during the day?
They were saying no 18-wheelers, correct?
Yeah.
But
But they'll have. Most likely, if you know, think about other contractor.
Yeah.
Facilities, they probably have some trailers, some panel trucks.
Yeah.
Some, you know.
Right, so
F. The 250, 350s with the boxes on the back, you know, that kind of the tool
And-
type trucks.
and if,
And they may be stored inside because those are the types of, buildings that we're getting a lot of inquiries for is where can we safely keep our stuff? You know, so people do, you know, some of these businesses do want indoor garages where they can keep their stuff.
but there's gotta be.
I don't recall.
I didn't see one.
There's gotta be an expectation that you're bringing some vehicle in and leaving some
Right.
kind of vehicle, or else you wouldn't need a parking space every spot. If you were just bringing your truck.
Although we do have parking requirements that they need to fulfill, so, and ours are fairly,
So I guess they'll drive their own vehicle in and. take the truck. Yeah, we got
yeah,
one,
there's one.
but, zone change,
So can I have that one back so
Yeah.
I can reattach it and give it back to?
No, you think of that. Detention space, you know, I mean, we're taking down,
yes,
you know, if you're gonna get into the same elevation, you
wetland.
can find that, you know, some of your detention bases is after.
And it's sucking in
Yeah.
some of the wetland, yeah. Yeah,
It's usually.
which could change, because that's actually got a, you know, it's wetland, but it's got a a defined channel, you know, in theory, going through there. That moves, I mean, it's not just water that's sitting there.
Well, I think what the phenomenon there is gonna be is it's that basin will be, at least have some water in it.
Yeah, yeah,
From, you know.
that's a good
that
point.
But surface level.
If the water was. Back.
It would, the wetland infiltrate the wetland, into the detention.
Maybe.
So it's not necessarily, you know, it may not necessarily be just for runoff from the site to hold it, that you're gonna be, could be,
Yeah.
you
yeah,
could,
I mean, you're
you could
gonna-
have
yeah,
a certain
I
amount of
think you might
standing
be
water
able to-
sitting in there from the groundwater, what that's would
Sort of like
typically,
that in Fitness, Sam's. areas.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, Not that big basin, but I mean, for the most part, it's always at least half full.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is,
We want to say something about the.
uh,
So the last one.
Yeah.
A rezoning of 3 lots that are south of New Park Drive. So off the Berlin Turnpike, south end, you know, it's going south. New Park Drive is just south of Orchard Road. And on the other side of the road. And, the Cariati's has their industrial buildings on the corner of New Park. You get into it from New Park Drive. And they have a couple of industrial buildings there that go like south on the Berlin Turnpike, but off New Park Drive. They then own, I believe they own them all. I'm not positive. I gotta look into that, because again, this one just came in at the end of last week, but trying to get it on your agenda because of your meeting dates. 3 lots just south of that, one on what's called Stone Drive, which is just really, it's a driveway, but it's next to it. So you can see where those are. You know, this is New Park Drive, which is industrial. The lots to the south are in the BT1 zone and in the R15 zone. And they want to rezone those to expand the industrial park area, and you can see it a little better there. And I'll bring it up on my thing, and it would be for presumably an eventual, which isn't part of this application. The application is the rezoning, but is for an event parking lot and eventual another industrial building. So those are those, if you'd like to look at them, and I'll try to bring up the area on the map so you can
Okay,
see
'cause
it,
it'd be
because
good-
it'll be way easier to see it on the GIS, in my opinion.
I think
Sorry, what's it zoned for now?
So one of them is, oh, wait a minute, I gotta type fast or it goes away, see?
There are 15 or
One's an R15 lot, one is a BT, or one or two of them
I
are,
don't know, they're all.
are
the same
Berlin
color.
Turnpike lots. They're red. No, one of those. They're yellow, which is the
Yeah.
R15.
Okay, but it's 3 lots.
Right,
It's not
it's
the,
lot.
it's. Okay, yeah,
Cause I thought it was two, one in front of the other, and then a long one next,
so,
right along Stone Drive. So those, yeah, these two must both be R15. Here we have New Park Drive. Let's get it.
guess it. One of these is like, an issue is like, how do you want to look at the map?
So this lot, there are two houses, right? Well, this house has already come down, actually.
Okay.
This is a house that I believe is still there. I think that's the order they did them in. That's set to be demolished. And this is lot 1 in the BT1 zone to be rezoned. This is lot 2 and this is lot 3. This here is Stone Drive, and there are residences to the
Right,
south
so-
of them.
So that's what I'm saying, is it depends on how you want to look at the map. You're looking north to south. It makes sense, I guess, an argument for, let's extend the industrial. If you're looking from south to north, you got residential. And it's one of them's currently residential. And you're gonna make the residential area there less.
So they are residential in the rear. The budding lots along the Berlin Turnpike are Berlin Turnpike
Right.
2 zones. So those are commercial zones.
So-
This residential, we're not sure if that may be unbuildable because it doesn't have a road. It has no frontage. So whether there would be a question as to whether they could ever build on that without having it connected to something
Well, that's
else
the thing,
and or
that's
getting
the thing, right?
access. You
Right
can
there.
see by the way this is here that they don't actually have access to Stone Drive. They don't even abut that, which I think is town.
If that
I don't
homeowner
know.
may look at that differently, that they may be willing to give them
Oop.
access rather than
Sorry.
having another industrial.
Right.
building.
The homeowner goes
Side.
down to the-
That's
there.
They come in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a driveway here. And it comes, I'm not sure exactly where it goes. It goes under these trees somehow. I mean, I could probably, actually, I
Yeah.
can't. That appears to be public. But it's not an improved road, but it's town. It looks like a driveway.
Yeah.
And that's how these houses, there's a driveway here, there's a driveway here,
It gets.
this driveway.
Big double.
Yeah, I think it looks as though it's probably right here. That it comes in and then curves.
Down below that, yeah, right there where your cursor is now.
That's another house.
It's a-
Yeah. But it's a residential, maybe, is it? That's not a motel, is it? That's house, okay, just double checking. In a commercial zone, so this is the zone line, right here, the red is commercial. The yellow is. I'm
But-
sorry, I'm
but
not
from that
sharing my
point down,
screen and
right?
I want to for the purpose of the.
Everything.
No, I think
Here,
just
I mean,
below
everything
that
else
is
is
then the
south.
condos, I think then
Everything-
are next down. Oh, no, Overhill comes in and then you have the residential. This I think is land trust. Oh, no, that one's not. This one's the land trust, this gray back here. Whatever color it is. Wheat, the wheat color
Oh, that's land trust, land?
back here. But this is, so the red is all Berlin Turnpike and the properties we're looking at are up here.
And the one
So it's-
behind it.
PT2, one behind it, and then the one next.
And
to it.
this is R15, which is residential, 15,000 square foot lots, although that's considerably larger without frontage. It's 1 3/4 acres. But
May you, please hit the elevation data layer for the contours?
we can try. We've had a lot of trouble with our GIS lately.
Well,
Something
the
you could-
access to that.
Only.
I think-
Zoning though?
Yeah.
Would we get a
We
zoning?
really, and then, yeah, they're asking for a zoning change. And then.
Well, it's the intensity of the use on, I mean, I
Yeah.
think it abuts, I
let-
mean, these
let's-
land is open,
Yeah.
which is why I would,
is-
you
is
know,
it
not
WhatsApp?
that it's very, it's not public land, it's not that kind of
Yeah.
thing, or abutting it or anything, but it is the kind of thing that's, if you saw specific features or knew of things, knew of trails, I like to bring things to to your commission because you know stuff about the land in town. No, but I like to bring it
Right.
because lots of times you guys do know fun facts that, who knew that? You know?
It's zoned that way for a reason. And if I were a resident in a residential area and that next to me was residential and suddenly it get changed and now there's a giant parking lot there. That would kind of tick me off a little bit.
Mhm.
Above the cursor, is that all part of that industrial property?
Yeah, this,
No, the, right.
this, yes. Yeah, these are all industrial.
Okay, and then the one just below that one, yeah. She clicked on the red one and it showed the frontage of a house that looked
Yeah.
like it was occupied. What's that one?
This one is land trust.
Okay, well, so,
I can actually zoom out and you'll see a little better.
so a land trust question then
Yeah.
is what was the interest in that property? Up front, because, I mean.
Maureen, can you go bring it up or down? So
You want to
we
see
can see
north or you want to see south?
South. South on. So that's all, that MR1 is land trust?
Yeah.
What goes below that?
Yeah,
Okay, so
right.
that's-
And this is residential. That goes behind. This is the restaurant. What was the
maybe
Hawthorne?
Middleton?
Yeah, I think we come over the mountain.
They have access.
Can you bring it back again?
I could be wrong.
Question.
We looked at so this property, here, we also have had some inquiries on, so we've been, like, there was some looking into Overhill, because I actually was getting Stone Drive and Overhill Drive confused with this lot and this lot.
So
was
the
like, which one are they calling?
15.
The R15, those yellow, those 4 yellow parcels.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the one we were describing the driveway on.
It's like the driveway comes from,
Berlin Turnpike, up Stone Drive.
Is there a house on the next one where it actually says R15?
No, that's vacant as well. That's vacant.
I mean,
That one on R15 if there's not. Well,
This is town land over here. That's not quite adjacent to it, but, you know. It's
And
got
then
the,
Middletown, you can access.
and this
maybe
is
there's some
Middletown.
access.
and there's trail, you know, there's probably trails all through the whole, because that's all part of, Lamentation Mountain, right? Yeah, that's all, because right down here's where the fire was, you know? Right? And
I guess my
Uh,
comments would be that the
well,
front
down a little
lot
ways.
letting the Berlin Turnpike, I don't particularly care if it's industrial or not, because it's right off the turnpike, but the one in the rear, it looked a little steeper and a little closer to our open space.
Right.
So I'd be a little cautious about a parking lot going there. I don't think it's the end of the world either way, but you know, it's not ideal, maybe is my opinion.
that's what I was trying to craft, something like that, because it's the rear lot
Yeah.
is in, close proximity to other open space. You know, and with no really. I mean, that it's been zoned that, and there doesn't seem to be some overwhelming reason to change the zoning.
I
You know,
suspect it was left, and I don't know the history. I suspect it was left R15 as these were residential uses along Berlin Turnpike. And before this became OT2, when they, I don't know what was back there, if anything. But really, you know, the south end of the turnpike was kind of this transitional of, there were still a lot of houses there, but also moving towards the more commercial uses. So
and,
I suspect that's how it remained R15 as other things got rezoned around
and
it.
it's got a house, you know, on the border. You know, it's like, I mean, we don't have a huge amount of comment kind of power on this,
Is the
but-
two.
Hmm.
but.
Those are
we-
like
we do
Bannon
have
Drive
other,
and
you know,
I don't
land
remember.
trust, open space, town property nearby. It does seem like it's got some elevation to it and doesn't really, you know, there doesn't seem to be an overwhelming reason to
Right.
change longstanding zoning at this point. With, you know, you want to do it when everything gets relooked at. Come back, maybe.
Well, that house that is existing above the R15,
Mm-hmm,
okay, that house is just, that's gonna remain, right?
yeah,
Is that so?
Yeah,
no.
No.
So all of a sudden, that house is gonna be adjacent to industrial. When they bought the property, it's not, and everything else from there on south doesn't go like to the third level of an industrial zone. It's got along the turnpike and maybe the next property behind, and some of them are deeper, so, you know, it's still one property. But there's a line of residential that goes beyond, you know, behind that, and that's in line with all the other residential.
I maybe wonder, this might be not possible or happening, but a little more lenient to industrial use stretching back, if there could be a public access easement which connects to the open space, which would be a new access point. I don't even know if that,
I think
it's hard to
there's
see on the
one
line.
here.
Oh, do we already
I-
have one?
Well, we
Oh.
don't, this is Land Trust,
Yeah.
and I think they have access here.
I'm not sure.
I could be wrong whether there's actual access or not, but I recall there was some, in investigating this lot, we had some questions with regard to it. Yeah.
On the edge for our purview, but yeah, I mean, it just seems.
Hopefully, planning and zoning will
Yeah.
look at it hard, and maybe they won't let them. I mean, to change
No, is
something
there-
from residential to.
It is, I mean, it's
Is there
something
access
that
to
we.
Is there access to that lot in Stone Drive or not?
No.
No.
So this lot doesn't really abut Stone Drive,
You're
the way the survey looks from the GIS, whether, you know, if they were gonna go do, actually, I don't think they did a survey yet. Yeah, no, they didn't provide us, it doesn't, no, this is. Let's see,
The Regency,
the regions. No, not Silver Lake, Silver Ridge
whatever.
is
It's
down
the re-
lower, not
it's the
this
region.
one, the one down. No, the, right, but somebody asked me about the other one, the Silver Ridge is here, next to the MR1
Okay.
zone. That's when I said Silver Ridge. I knew that was a different, that's Bannon, I think this.
Bannon Lane.
Bannon, yeah, I just didn't know what they were called. I didn't know what their name was, but, so it looks as though on this survey, you can see how Stone Drive, meanders. But I don't know where it stops being public land. We think it's, actually, this survey makes the jog look like it's further up. So it looks like they might touch Stone Drive, but
Hmm.
you can, again, we'll need to do an analysis of that.
Well, that, right, it kind of looks like,
So one of the things with zoning, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an overview, is when you have non-conforming uses such as the residential along here in the BT zone, where single-family residential would not today be an allowed use. One of the premises in the zoning is that the idea is to not encourage the thriving of existing, non-conforming. So they don't expand, they don't get big, you don't have more, but you instead, get them to transition into the zone,
Right.
the zoning that they're zoned for at the time. These are in R15,
But
yes,
those
the
homes-
one,
Those homes possibly predate.
yes.
the zoning, right.
Right, so.
So that's why they're non-conforming. They're an existing non-conformity that
But those
you
are the
don't-
two
you
that are
don't-
taking down.
you can't take them, that use away. Yeah, these two they're taking down,
Right.
but then there's a house, I believe, on this one as well. And possibly on this one, yeah. And then this is then go backs to the
Right.
hotel.
The BT2.
This one didn't.
Right, but it's their choice, in a sense, to stay residential, they're not gonna get kicked off. So they have their choice to stay
Residents.
with their houses where they are. Or if they get sold or whatever, it can turn into it. This is an expansion of the BT. So by the same, or that, yeah, but by the same token, you have the residential that's there. They should be allowed to keep it, just because that's actually their zoning. So, yeah, in their favor, and quite honestly, if this went forward, if I'm the owner in that second, the other property off of Stone, I would be putting language together for an easement if it's not clear for the Stone Drive to allow it to go into that property so that that property would be ready to be used as residential if it somebody wanted to do it that way. If it's, if they get denied, then it's residential and
It looks
like
like it over. Goes almost to where that other house.
But I don't think that,
No, that doesn't.
yeah.
Just,
it's this one.
It's the one that's marked, then at least there's a buffer
Yeah,
between what they wanna do and the other lot next to it would still be residential.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're right in the middle.
but anyway, so
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
You're getting ready to go? Yeah, let me, I'm not gonna, I've got two, I hope, real quick things. One thing, because the next one is the P O C D implementation. We still have a meeting coming up at the end of the month. What my thought. So I'll pass along information like that we've talked about on other meetings. But, what I was looking at was, which, which kind of things for us to, as a commission, to move ahead with. And the one thing, that I'd like to kind of push comes from, like one of the strategies, 9 and a couple of, items in that, but it's, to provide, site improvements to open space properties, ensure stewardship, improve public access, and part of that includes new trails, better marking, signage, and parking. And then, of town-owned properties produce summary and list of needs, which again would be dovetails with that, because some of the needs could be signage or parking and stuff. So what I'd like to do, is to start with a list of known issues or needs. And if people want to kind of add to this, if you know something, somebody should be able to email me those, right? Without a problem.
Yeah, as long as you don't get into a conversation.
Right.
So you can
So,
email information out, he can
Yeah.
say thank
Yeah.
you, but don't send it.
so
Two.
to start with, two that I was thinking of was Hatchery Brook Sierra Ranch section, which is on Kensington Road. It's got a 50-foot wide access point, which we have been, in a sense, I know historically been discouraged to allow parking at. There's a gate there, and the town does mow, twice a year, I think, out there, but
Where
not
is it?
during the bird season or nesting. Yeah, yeah. Out there that they've built the wooden gate. They have a metal gate with a paved path in for a while. There's plenty of room for 2 cars there. There is no longer a no parking, so I would like to follow up with that.
That's it,
And
here's the one. This is.
no,
Oh,
it's on it's on Kensington. It's right there,
Yeah.
right by the K and E. Yep. And, so what I'm looking at is there's plenty of space for 2 parking spots. It's grassy there, and then the paved part is from the, and that has the gate. It's one area that we've been discouraged from parking. I'm going like, I know that there are houses right there and stuff. There's 2 spaces. It's a 50-foot wide access. Why not be able to tell people, here's parking spot 1 and 2, and stay away from the gate in case the town needs to gain access in. So it's things like that I want to start with a list of, we could improve, it's got maybe another item or 2 for information on it. It does have a identification board. Actually, I did have a shot of it. Here's what it looks like right now.
Okay, yep.
And you can see that got a fence that goes this way and the rest of it. So it's, yeah. So it's,
You gotta know it's there.
right. But, that's better than what it, yes, yeah, there's right, you got. So,
And there's enough room for two cars.
it's, yeah, it's that, there it is right there. That one right there.
And where does
Huh,
it go?
look at that.
It connects up to the other trails in Hatchery Brook. It's got a trail through what used to be Sierra property, which is all that big one. And there is a connection to the, so, so, you know what? If people don't know that they can park there, they're not, you know. So that's one of the ones that's a kind of a pet peeve for me. The other one is nearby and is something that I know I'm gonna get some kickback on. Maureen may not even like to hear this one. But if you go down to Orchard Road, we have the Blue Hills access or potential access. Yeah,
That's what I
to
was just talking.
yeah, to go up that way.
Down
Yeah.
Here?
No, that, yeah, right there. We've got the old house, yes. I don't know why the town were worried about like the house on Elton Road that's abandoned and making sure that it's closed off so that, you know, with plywood and stuff so that people don't get in and animals don't get in. Look at the roof on that building. It's, you know, that's, we've been told in the past that the sight lines aren't good enough there. They're good enough for the private houses across the street. We take down that building that's gonna fall down on its own at some point, and hopefully nobody's around it when it, that's all the town. That's good question.
I think. That's-
Yeah, so that's the edge of, that's, the race
If I
car
close
driver's
it,
property,
right.
so you gotta go
Yeah.
back. Yeah. Yeah.
Race.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
So it's, look at, we have the town
So you can only see the top of.
mows it. We have that, and then the other buildings on that side, but
On
that's
this
not
side,
in as
right?
bad a shape, and it's all an open kind of barn area. And that could be used to walk down to the existing access point. It also could be a location where you connect to the trail, to the Blue Trail from
Yes,
there. It's not that far away. And we could put 5, you know, that big lot, could put whatever, 4, 6 in there, especially the buildings out of the way. And there's the trail there, the blue. Yeah, that's what but at the lower right.
Okay.
Is the existing trail. So I just think that that's another location that, you know, you know what? There, like I said,
It's
start,
been talked about a couple of times.
yeah, I
that
mean,
it
it's a town
is-
liability right now. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah,
No.
Yeah. yeah. And if they don't like that idea for parking or making a trail to there, we could extend the edge of the road going down to the existing one, and you could have you have the fence there anyway. You could put some fill in on the other side and have a path on the along the road and away from the guardrail to go down the hill to where they don't want us to park. There's a space, there had been space for one car, but you'd have to back out, and they don't want, you know, I can understand that some. But it could be used for that too. So it's things like that with other properties. People think of some, you know, places that don't have signs, places that, maybe you go like, oh, that'd be nice to have, parking or, any kind of ideas like that. So that's what I'd like to see us kind of see if we can make some progress on. It meets a high priority on the implementation. And I think it's something that is gonna benefit our open space. So keep it short with that. I have another thing, and I'm gonna bring it up in the meeting. I know that ends up being on the record and stuff, but I had an informal conversation about whether Webster Park could be used for parking sometime in the future, but I looked at next to the Berlin Fairgrounds. But in looking at things,
Okay.
I've been in that on the southern lot, and I mean, they were full the
Oh,
last.
yeah.
There's some space that's field where they're not using. So I said I'd check into things. What I found out was that area that's field is not town property.
Oh,
The
wow.
so parking in Webster Park would mean taking trees down out of an open space parcel to make a road in something, an area that would only get used occasionally. Yeah, that's that,
This one.
yeah,
That's not
Um,
Webster Park.
no. I'm just thinking, Beckley,
This is Beckley.
okay, yeah, you just have to, the whole big one, that's Webster right there. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the border there. They're using those back ones all the way along the southern border for parking now. And then I was going like, oh, if that was there and it's in an open space parcel, maybe that's not, that's not so bad, right? It's an open, it's a open. No. So, but seeing that that's all on the private property, it would take maybe even a bridge or culvert and taking trees down to do that. I think the Lions could do that on their own property, because they own all of that, but going back there.
Yeah, there's a whole road back there and there's nothing behind it. I think.
Yeah.
They built something.
Over there. So I said I would look at things. There may also be some kind of problem with it as far as how it was deeded to the town. That might restrict it. I don't have access to that, right? I haven't come into the town hall and to look that up yet. But,
Ask the ad lawyer.
Mhm.
said it first or whatever,
Yeah.
and you just-
right, I guess they've lost one of those. The parking, but that's the wetlands, right? Look at I mean, it's mostly wetlands. And that's why we've had a hard time getting access, that in right above the Route 9. Along Beckley on the east side there, yeah, across the street from there. Right above where it says State Highway 9. No, yeah, right there. That should be town.
Yep.
But we haven't been able, we tried to get a scout project and get a bridge in there that would get through the wetlands, and that was a long time ago, Tom. I think you were probably on the. And that never really developed into something that we could access on a regular basis. So we don't really have access to it. Since Route 9 went in, they put the fence, and we can't park along Route 9. So there's really no access in. But it may, I don't know. I thought it was,
I forgot. That's
I thought it was along, I thought it was along 3 or 72, but I don't know.
Somewhere in rural.
Yeah. But anyway. I said I would get back to the person on this, but that's what I'm gonna tell them on that, and I think that I don't think anybody disagrees with the with that, so.
It just isn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's, and like I said, I'm not even gonna take the time to look at the deed restrictions, but we may be, our hands may be tied with that anyway. But that other property, I was surprised that it went back that far, because I didn't say no immediately because I saw some of that. I'm going like, well, maybe.
It's already
Yeah,
disturbed.
it's already there and it's gonna get used twice a year maybe, or something like that. Maybe that's not for a property that we really have virtually no access to. It's not the worst thing. It's on the border, but we would have to, yeah. I think to try to do anything else is kind of goes against the open space and yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and really no gain for us. Yeah, and because it still wouldn't allow us access. I mean, if something else was different and they could, and it allowed access in and they could redo their fence or something like that and give us access to Webster, that'd be different. But we could do a trade-off or something to be able to gain some access, but I don't see any possibility. And with that, we've had a long meeting. But that's I think that's all I had, other than if anybody's interested, because we didn't have the meeting last time, I did have to, Maureen and I worked on a annual report for 2024 from the Conservation Commission. I don't know if they put those up somewhere in town. I do have, okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But
It's just kind of.
but if anybody wants that, probably there, or I have a copy of it. Yeah, I could email it to somebody if they wanted to see it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've got all kinds of annual reports we're sending in right now, updates from all kinds of things, so that time of year.
Yeah. Rob.
Motion.
A motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Your last motion?
All in favor?
Somebody second
Did we
it?
get it?
Karen?
Karen. Oh, you did? Okay. Aye.
My pleasure. All the best. Thank all of you very much.
Thanks so much. Please call us if you have anything that comes up and you'd like to be.
And keep us in mind in the future.
I will. I always say very good things about this group.